At the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, there's a small painting on display. But it is the #1 masterpiece of human art. It is famous all over the world, comparable to other great and majestic wonders of mankind, such as the Egyptian pyramids, the Great Wall of China, or the Eiffel Tower. It is none other than the mysterious Mona Lisa painting, captivating viewers with its exquisite painting techniques. Behind this masterpiece is none other than Leonardo da Vinci, the world's leading outstanding figure. So who is he? Leonardo da Vinci, the journey of a timeless genius. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most brilliant figures of the Renaissance, has become the eternal epitome of the Renaissance man thanks to his innate genius and extraordinary versatility. He was not only a painter, sculptor, architect, and musician, but also an anatomist, engineer, inventor, and natural scientist. This video is not merely a chronicle of his life, but a comprehensive narrative that interweaves seemingly unrelated fields from art and anatomy to military engineering to highlight his core philosophy, saper videre, or knowing how to see. For Da Vinci, sight was humanity's most important sense and the most direct path to knowledge. He believed that art and science were two sides of the same coin, and that ideas from one realm should be applied to enrich the other. It was this unique combination of intellect and imagination that allowed him to create timeless artistic masterpieces and mechanical designs centuries ahead of their time. However, his legacy is also fraught with complex contradictions, from a perfectionism that led him to abandon many works, to the design of destructive weapons by a man who was a pacifist and animal lover. This video will delve into these details, painting a comprehensive portrait of a genius who reshaped human thought. Part 1. The Genesis of a Genius, 1452 to 1482. Childhood and the Florence Years. Chapter 1. Illegitimate Birth and Childhood. Leonardo da Vinci was born on April 15, 1452, in the town of Vinci, Tuscany, within the lower Arno River valley of the Republic of Florence. His life began under unusual circumstances. He was the illegitimate son of a 25-year-old notary, Signor Piero, and a 22-year-old peasant girl named Caterina. In the modern context, da Vinci did not have a surname in the traditional sense. Da Vinci simply means from Vinci. His full birth name was Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci, which means Leonardo, son of Ser Piero from Vinci. After his birth, da Vinci was taken into his father's custody and raised in his family home in Florence, where he had access to scholarly texts from his father's friends and relatives. The fact that da Vinci had no official surname and was born out of wedlock inadvertently shaped his educational path. Unlike his contemporaries, da Vinci did not attend university, a deficit that many contemporary scholars considered a serious drawback. However, this lack may have become an incredible advantage, freeing him from the rigid classical dogmas and conventions of the academia of his time. Instead of passively absorbing knowledge, he was forced to develop an independent method of inquiry, based on meticulous observation and direct experimentation. His philosophy of saper videre, the belief that true knowledge comes from observing and understanding the natural world, became the foundation for all his work, from painting to scientific studies. It is remarkable that while his contemporaries were celebrated for their lineage and academic titles, da Vinci became a symbol of excellence independent of any title or bloodline, a great model of self-made intellect and talent. With a relentlessly curious mind, da Vinci quickly revealed his exceptional artistic talent. Would his apprenticeship at one of Florence's most renowned workshops nurture or stifle that talent? Chapter 2. The Apprenticeship Decade in Verrocchio's workshop, 1466 to 1476. At the age of 14, da Vinci moved to Florence to apprentice in the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, a leading painter and sculptor of the time. Verrocchio was known as a talented teacher and a master artisan in many fields, from goldsmithing to sculpture and painting. This diverse apprenticeship environment played a crucial role in shaping da Vinci into a comprehensive genius. Over 6 years, he was trained in a variety of techniques, including metalwork, carpentry, leather arts, drawing, and sculpting. This holistic training provided a solid foundation for da Vinci, giving him a comprehensive view of the connections between different crafts. Da Vinci quickly demonstrated a talent that surpassed even his master. According to Giorgio Vasari, a contemporary art chronicler. Da Vinci's genius was evident in his contributions to the joint works of Verrocchio's workshop, for instance in the painting. The Baptism of Christ, a detail of an angel painted by Da Vinci, was so exceptional that Verrocchio reportedly decided to abandon painting altogether. The versatility cultivated during this period is a key factor in explaining why Da Vinci was never just a painter, but always a scientist, an engineer, and a sculptor at the same time. This integrated approach to art and science became his unmistakable signature and shaped his entire later career. However, Florence seemed too small to contain his burgeoning talent. A notorious lawsuit and a craving for new horizons would soon prompt Da Vinci to make a bold decision. Chapter 3: Independent Strokes and a Notorious Lawsuit, 1476 to 1482. In 1476, Da Vinci began his independent career as a painter at the age of 25. He quickly gained recognition for notable works, such as Adoration of the Magi. However, these years also saw a major event in his life. In 1476, Da Vinci and 3 other men were accused of sodomy with a 17-year-old male model, Jacopo Saltarelli. This was an illegal act at the time. Although he was imprisoned for 2 months, he was acquitted due to a lack of witnesses, possibly thanks to the intervention of Lorenzo de' Medici, a powerful figure at the time. This lawsuit, though it ended in acquittal, may have left a deep psychological scar on Da Vinci, contributing to his later reserved and mysterious personality. This event, coupled with Da Vinci's feeling of being stifled in Florence, motivated him to seek new opportunities. From a personal crisis, Vinci learned a crucial lesson about the need for discretion and caution in a society full of judgment. This is clearly reflected in his subsequent use of mere writing in his personal notebooks, an act that many scholars believe is not simply due to his left-handedness, but also a defense mechanism to hide his sensitive ideas from thieves or the censorship of the Roman Catholic Church. This lawsuit may have created a chain of events that led to his decision to leave Florence and move to Milan in 1482. There, he was able to explore and develop his talents more comprehensively, not just as a painter, but also as a military engineer, a role he made sure to emphasize in his letter of application to Duke Ludovico Sforza. In Milan, Da Vinci would have the opportunity to display all of his talents, not just in art, but in a completely different field, military engineering. This period would produce some of his greatest artistic masterpieces, while also revealing a complex contradiction within the genius himself. Part 2: The Stature of a Painter and Engineer, 1482-1499. The Milanese Period. Chapter 4: Under the Duke of Sforza, Nord. Leonardo da Vinci left Florence and moved to Milan, a major intellectual center of the Renaissance. He sought employment under Duke Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan. It is noteworthy that in his famous letter of application, Da Vinci dedicated most of the space to describing his abilities as a military engineer, including designing bridges, weapons, and defensive works, mentioning his painting and sculpting skills only as a bonus. This clearly reflects his desire to be recognized not just as an artist, but also as an inventor and engineer. Ludovico Sforza accepted Da Vinci in over 17 years of service in Milan. He kept Da Vinci busy with a diverse range of roles. Da Vinci not only designed extravagant court festivals, but also painted, sculpted, and designed weapons, buildings, and machines. This period was marked by peak scientific and artistic achievements as he conducted research on various subjects, including architecture, anatomy, mechanics, and even flying machine designs. It was in Milan that Da Vinci would create historical masterpieces, including a portrait hailed as the first modern portrait. How did he accomplish this? Chapter 5: Oil Painting Masterpieces. The Milanese period was the time when Da Vinci produced some of his greatest artistic masterpieces, while developing revolutionary painting techniques. Two of his most notable techniques were sfumato and glazing. Sfumato, meaning smoky or hazy, is a technique for creating a soft transition of colors by eliminating harsh outlines, and brushstrokes, allowing figures to blend naturally and realistically into the background. The glazing technique was a development of sfumato, in which Da Vinci used multiple thin layers of lightly tinted varnish to create subtle differences in color and shading. One of the pinnacle masterpieces of this period is the Portrait Lady with an Ermine. It's Painted around 1488 to 1490, this painting has been celebrated as the first modern portrait. Da Vinci captured the twisting pose and delicate expression of Cecilia Galarni, allowing the viewer to perceive her inner life, soul, and psychology. This was a revolutionary step, moving beyond traditional portraits that merely recorded physical appearance. Another important work is the painting The Virgin of the Rocks. Da Vinci painted two versions of this work, one in the Louvre, Paris, and one in the National Gallery, London, which shows his distraction with projects. This period also reveals a core contradiction in Da Vinci. He was a painter of innate talent, but was notoriously slow and frequently left works unfinished. His scientific studies and inventions were a constant and powerful distraction, making the number of his finished paintings scarce. Da Vinci's revolutionary painting techniques, such as sfumato and glazing, were not random creations. They were the direct result of his extensive scientific studies on optics. The time he spent understanding how light diffuses, reflects, and how the human eye perceives color and shadow allowed him to create visual effects that were unprecedentedly realistic and soft, bringing a sense of life and truthfulness to his subjects. However, Da Vinci's talent was not limited to painting. During the Milanese period, he also showcased a completely different side, designing incredible war machines and inventions centuries ahead of their time. Chapter 6. Inventions for War and Civilian Life. Although best known as a painter, Leonardo da Vinci was also a brilliant engineer and inventor, with ideas centuries ahead of his time. His letter of application to Duke Sforza was successful because he demonstrated his value in the field of military engineering. Da Vinci designed a series of incredible war machines, including an armored car considered a precursor to the tank, a triple-barreled cannon, a multi-barreled organ gun, a giant crossbow, and an overhead screw. These designs demonstrate a fusion of artistic creativity and a deep understanding of mechanics and physics. He also created civilian devices such as pumps, hydraulic systems, and friction-reducing mechanisms like gears and ball bearings. Among his designs, his flying machines are particularly notable. He sketched a flying machine called an ornithopter, based on the anatomy of bats and birds, with giant wings controlled by a system of cranks and pulleys. He also designed the aerial screw, helicopter, a famous idea that modern scientists believe would have been very difficult to get off the ground with the technology of the time. Many of Da Vinci's inventions, especially the flying machine and armored car, were not practical in reality because the materials of his day were too heavy and human musculature was too weak to generate the necessary force. Some scholars believe that Da Vinci himself was aware of these limitations. His drawings were not just technical designs but also thought experiments, a way of thinking on paper to explore complex physical principles like friction, gravity, and inertia. This shows that Da Vinci was not just an inventor but an experimental scientist, using drawing to understand and explain the laws of nature. The greatest contradiction in Da Vinci's life is that he was an alleged animal lover and war hater, yet he made a living designing destructive weapons. This contradiction reflects a complex facet of his personality. He saw all problems, whether artistic or military, as technical challenges to be solved with intellect and creativity. Part 3. The Peak and Isolation of a Genius, 1500 to 1516. Florence and Rome. Chapter 7. The War of the Giants, after Duke Sforza lost power in 1499. Da Vinci returned to Florence, and this period saw a tense rivalry between him and Michelangelo, another genius of the Renaissance. Their relationship was complex, marked by both rivalry and mutual inspiration. Da Vinci, who was older and had a polite, refined demeanor, often ridiculed Michelangelo's rough and uncouth personality. In turn, Michelangelo criticized Da Vinci for his inconsistency and for often abandoning works, such as the colossal bronze horse statue for Duke Sforza. The difference in their personalities was also reflected in their artistic philosophies. Da Vinci was a talented painter who saw painting as the pinnacle of art, because it could truthfully represent the beauty of nature. In contrast, Michelangelo considered himself a sculptor and believed that sculpture was a higher art form, because it allowed for the creation of life from a lifeless block of stone. Da Vinci mocked the muscular nude male figures in Michelangelo's paintings as looking like a sack full of walnuts. The climax of this rivalry came in 1504. When both were commissioned to paint frescoes for the Florence town hall, Da Vinci began with the Battle of Anghiari, while Michelangelo was tasked with painting the Battle of Castina. This classic artistic showdown ultimately had no winner, as both artists abandoned their works. However, despite the animosity and competition, this tense relationship pushed both geniuses to create relentlessly. Setting new standards and driving technical innovation in Renaissance art, the differences in their philosophies reflect the parallel and contradictory nature of science versus divinity, intelligence versus passion in that era. In the midst of this intense competition, Da Vinci created one of humanity's most famous masterpieces. What technique did he use to give this portrait its mysterious and lifelike quality? Chapter 8. The Mona Lisa. Starting in 1503, Leonardo da Vinci began work on one of his greatest masterpieces, the portrait of the Mona Lisa. Painted on a poplar wood panel, the work depicts Lisa Gordine, the wife of a Florentine official. The painting, famous for its enigmatic smile and captivating gaze, has been the subject of centuries of debate and speculation. However, the mystery of the Mona Lisa lies not just in her smile, but also in the masterful painting technique Da Vinci used. The painting is a perfect testament to his philosophy that art and science are inseparable. To achieve the signature depth and mysterious effect, Da Vinci used a technique called veiled glazing. This technique involved applying multiple thin layers of lightly tinted varnish over the painted surface. Each layer of varnish helped to soften the lines, creating an incredibly subtle and realistic transition of color and shadow. The glazing technique was a development of the sfumato technique he had pioneered. The enigmatic smile is not just an expression of emotion, but a technical achievement, the result of his profound optical studies on reflection, shadow, and how the human eye perceives light. The fusion of a scientist's meticulous observation and an artist's talent created a peerless masterpiece, where the principles of physics were applied perfectly to evoke emotion and soul. Besides the Mona Lisa, another of Da Vinci's masterpieces demonstrated his technical audacity, but also proved to be a disastrous failure. Which painting was it, and why did it deteriorate so quickly? Chapter 9. The Last Supper, painted on the wall of a refectory at the Santa Maria del Grazie Monastery in Milan from 1495 to 1498. The Last Supper is one of Da Vinci's greatest masterpieces. The painting depicts the dramatic moment when Jesus announces that one of his apostles will betray him. What makes this work so distinctive is Da Vinci's choice of a groundbreaking technique. Instead of using the traditional fresco technique, which requires rapid painting on wet plaster, Da Vinci chose to paint on a dry wall as secco. He applied pigments to a white preparatory layer to smooth and level the wall, just as he would with a wooden panel. This allowed him to work slowly and meticulously, adding multiple layers of color and light effects, a process perfectly suited to his perfectionist nature. Da Vinci used gestures and expressions to convey the motions of the mind of each apostle. The apostles are divided into 4 groups, each with a distinct reaction. For example, the group with Bartholomew shows fear and horror, while the group with Judas Iscariot, John, and Peter displays panic and internal conflict. Judas, with the look of a caught thief, clutches a bag of silver in his right hand, revealing his guilt. Although he achieved a pinnacle of expression, this technical choice was a physical disaster. The paint did not adhere properly to the wall, and the painting began to deteriorate severely just decades after its completion due to humidity and environmental factors, including mold. This led Giorgio Vasari, an art historian, to exclaim in 1568 that the painting was so badly blurred that one cannot make out anything more than a glowing stain. Despite the technical failure, Da Vinci's choice of this method shows that his artistic vision transcended the limits of traditional mediums. He sacrificed durability to achieve a peak visual and emotional effect. In his final years, Da Vinci found peace and freedom in France, where he was admired and patronized by a king. Yet, a crucial part of his legacy was to be forgotten for centuries. Part 4. The Enduring Legacy, 1516, 1519, and beyond. Chapter 10. The Final Years in France. In 1516, Leonardo da Vinci left Italy for France at the invitation of King Francis I, who bestowed upon him the title of premier painter, engineer, and architect to the king. King Francis I was not only a generous patron, but also a friend and admirer of da Vinci, often visiting him and listening to his stories. Da Vinci spent his final years at Chateau d'Eu, close a small manor near the royal castle in Amboise. He brought with him some of his most famous works, including the Mona Lisa. Despite a partial paralysis in his right hand, Da Vinci was still able to draw with his left hand and continued his research, writing, and teaching. He spent time studying the nature of water and drawing works of the deluge. Da Vinci died on May 2, 1519, at the age of 67, at Chateau d'Amboise. Legend has it that King Francis I was by his side in his final moments. His remains were buried in the St. Florentin Church, near where he lived. Although the church was destroyed during the French Revolution, his remains were rediscovered in 1863 and are now interred in the chapel of St. Hubert. His life in France marked an important stage in Da Vinci's life. The patronage and admiration of King Francis I gave him a rare freedom, allowing him to pursue his studies without the constraints of commercial projects or the pressure to finish his works. This enabled him to dedicate himself fully to his scientific and intellectual pursuits, leaving a vast legacy in his personal notebooks. These notebooks contain brilliant ideas, from anatomy to machine designs. But why were these discoveries forgotten for centuries? Chapter 11. The forgotten scientific legacy. Leonardo da Vinci recorded his observations, experiments, and designs in dozens of notebooks, written in mirror script from right to left. These thousands of manuscript pages, including famous ones like the Codex Atlanticus and the Codex Leicester, are a vast treasure trove of his endless curiosity. The notebooks cover a diverse range of topics, from anatomy and geology to hydrodynamics, optics, and machine design. Da Vinci's use of mirror writing has led to much speculation. One theory is that, being left-handed, writing from right to left helped him avoid smudging the ink as his hand moved across the page. Another theory is that he wanted to make it difficult for others to decipher his notes, protecting his ideas from being stolen. Some also believe he was hiding his scientific discoveries from the powerful Roman Catholic Church, which sometimes disagreed with his observations. However, one of the greatest tragedies in Da Vinci's legacy is that these notebooks were never published during his lifetime. He left them to his devoted pupil Francesco Melzi, but after his death, the manuscripts were dispersed and lost across the world. This caused the majority of his scientific work to be forgotten for centuries and to have no significant impact on scientific development during the Renaissance. It was not until the last 150 years that his stature as a scientist was fully recognized. Da Vinci's intellect was centuries ahead of its time, but due to the lack of a formal channel for dissemination, it could not have an immediate impact. This highlights the crucial role of publication and communication in science. Despite a forgotten scientific legacy, Da Vinci's influence as an artist and a cultural icon has become eternal. His legacy has shaped generations of artists and inspired creators for centuries to come. Chapter 12. Eternal Influence. Despite a relatively small number of completed works, Leonardo da Vinci left an enduring legacy, not only in art, but also in science and culture. One of his most direct influences was on contemporary and later generations of artists. Raphael, one of the three great masters of the High Renaissance, traveled to Florence to study Da Vinci and was marveling and amazed by his works. Raphael adopted and applied many elements of Da Vinci's style, particularly in his portraits. Da Vinci's legacy extends far beyond his individual works. He established a new standard for painting, believing that artists should combine their skills with scientific observation to create truthful and lifelike images. His anatomical studies, though unpublished, are still highly regarded by modern scientists for their accuracy. His amazing vision inspired creators for centuries, sketching ideas for tanks, flying machines, and submarines long before they became real. Conclusion: the life journey of Leonardo da Vinci is a complex story of a genius who reshaped human thought. From an illegitimate child with no surname, he became a symbol of excellence, independent of lineage. Not having formal education didn't stop him, made him a self-taught go-getter. He developed a unique observational method, sapere. Da Vinci was super talented but got sidetracked by science, leaving few completed works. His art beautifully blends creativity and science. His fumetto technique was not just an artistic style, but the result of his profound understanding of optics. The Mona Lisa isn't just a painting, it's a blend of beauty and mystery. Da Vinci's designs were brilliant, but the tech of his time just couldn't keep up. Those drawings weren't failures. They helped him think and explore the universe's principles. Da Vinci's incredible scientific work was lost for centuries because his notebooks weren't published. It was not until recently that his stature as a scientist was fully recognized. Da Vinci changed art forever and opened our eyes to endless possibilities. And the fusion of different fields of knowledge are the path to true greatness. He inspired countless artists and scientists, showing us that if we keep chasing knowledge, anything is possible.